G'day folks, MBS here. I don't know if you remember, about a month ago I put out a little video on how to static time an electronic distributor, and we used a Holden as our example. And at the very end of that video I covered just a little maintenance point about the heatsink grease underneath your module. Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to actually pull the module out and we're going to add this grease to it, clean it up of course, and I'll just show you how to service that, and little tips and tricks and what to not to do and what to watch out for. Alright, this is an easy job. You can do this in the car, guys. It's not very hard. It's 2 screws on the cover plate. Out they come, and undo your wires, pull the module out. So we're going to see that in action. I've got another close-up camera activated so we can see this. Now you want to be doing this as a maintenance issue. You know, your car's running fine, there's no problem with it. You just want to just service the module itself. Now underneath the module is heatsink grease. Now that grease doesn't last forever. It'll dry up, and next thing you know your module will overheat and your car stops and no more spark because your module's failed. Alright, so here we go. We've got it all exposed, and oh my goodness, I can see straight away that all the terminals are bent out, and that must come awfully close to this cap. Lucky it hasn't had a short circuit. Alright, so we're going to straighten them up when we put this all back together. But our next little problem at the moment is getting these 4 wires off. Alright, so very carefully. You just don't want to be doing this freehand pulling them off, because as soon as they come off you'll end up breaking the wires. Alright, so you've got to be careful when you take them off. Don't squeeze them too tight. Now you've got to hold the module down while you do this, and at the same time brace yourself that you don't pull these terminals off too far. Okay, especially these pickup coil wires. Ooh. Okay, once you've got the 4 wires off, the module should just slip out. Okay, they're tangling up on the wires a little bit because that terminal is on there a little bit still. Okay, there's the module, and look at that, no grease. That's not too good. So this would have been running pretty hot, so we'll put that aside for the time being. The plate's fairly clean, and once again there is a little bit of pasty grease on there, but not much. Now you can take this low tension cable lead off if you want. It's just a matter of pulling it out through the top of the distributor body. And out it comes. Alright, now I already noticed on this that the wire's insulation is starting to break down a little bit. You can see the exposed wire. That's not a biggie, that's not going to do anything, but you definitely don't want these 2 wires touching each other. And we'll put that aside, and we've got these 2 off the pickup coil, or what we call the stator. Now, one thing you do not do not spin this distributor now and hang on to these 2 wires, because they will produce a pulse. Now this is a pulse generator as a complete unit. That's the trigger wheel, the stator assembly, and inside the stator assembly is a pickup coil. Alright, and these wires go to the pickup coil. They will produce 400 volts at high speed, probably a couple of thousand RPM. Even if I turn this over slowly and get the trigger wheel passing each of these terminals, I can still produce quite a few volts at low speed. So you don't want to be hanging onto these wires when you're doing that. So don't turn the distributor over. Now if you're doing this in the car, obviously you're not, are you? So, but if you've got this sitting on a bench, you've actually taken it out to do this job, then yeah, don't spin the distributor, is what I'm saying. You don't want to get a bit of a shock from these 2 wires. Alright, That's the module out, nice and easy, isn't it? All you have to do is clean it up, make sure this base plate is all nice and clean. Clean the bottom of your module, and then it's a simple matter of putting a bit of this heatsink grease on. Now this is about how much you'd want. Okay, so that should be plenty. Then you just spread that around the module. You don't put it on the terminals, make sure you don't spread it on the terminals. You can put a little bit on the base plate if you want. But what will happen if you've got the right amount on and you screw this down, a little bit of this grease will ooze out around the corners. Alright, so that's not a problem. Later on, as I'm thinking of doing 3 parts here, I will test this module, but not for this little exercise here where you're just servicing it, because your car is running right now, is it not? So there's no need to actually go through and test all this stuff just yet. It's possibly for a breakdown. Now I'm trying to find the locating lugs here, and I'm having, there we go. I was having a little bit of trouble. There are pins there that line it up to your base. Alright, so here's your pickup coil wires, and they're different sizes, so you can't get them mixed up. Okay, now I'm going to straighten these wires, because being bent out like that, and these haven't got any insulation caps on them like they should, they come very, very close to that cover, and these terminals should be virtually facing straight up, and they're all bent out about 10 degrees. This last one's even twisted. Okay, that looks a little bit better. As I was saying, these two can't mix them up, large and small. Okay, you put them back on, get your low tension lead, put him back down into the slot in the distributor, and push it down. And the pink wire is your positive side of the coil, and the green is your negative. Okay, terminal 15 and 16 on your module. There, pretty easy, eh guys? Easily done in the car. Who knows how many years this will extend the life of your module, but it certainly will not hurt doing it. And then we just simply put the screws back in. Okay, when we tighten these up, it's not super tight, because these screws are the earth for the module. So you want a good ground, and you nip them up. Okay, and that is the module done. Now even if you spin this now, you're quite safe. You're not going to get any electric shocks out of the leads. So once you do it, if you're doing this in the bench, you can spin this around, and you'll notice as you're spinning it round, every time the trigger wheel meets the mating triangle piece on the stator assembly, you feel it stop it. Okay, and that's where the trigger comes from. You'll get a pulse, and like I said, probably in the 3rd part of this video I'll be testing that with various pieces of equipment. Alright, and that's your module done. Alright, fairly easy job. I couldn't have made it any easier. So yeah guys, I would be doing that as soon as you possibly could, just to extend the service life of your module. Alright, if you've got a car that's not going, of course, look, we're going to get into that later, and probably into part 3 of a no-go situation. But this was all about just servicing that module and getting some heatsink grease underneath it, so that the module lasts a few years more than what it normally would. Alright, I'll catch you in the next video.